Today, when we think about Spider-Man games, we think of Insomniac. And honestly, for good reason. They're some of the best superhero games ever made. But you know what? I sometimes miss when Spider-Man games were just, I don't know, somewhat imperfect. Because before Insomniac, nobody knew what Spider-Man games were supposed to actually be like. Every few years, we'd get something different. Nobody had a formula.
Back to formula.
And we've had a massive range of Spider-Man games, all the way going from side-scrolling to beat-em-ups, fighting games in a sense, and action-adventure. For a time though, when Neversoft's Spider-Man game came out on the PlayStation 1 and on the N64, that in a sense was giving us a way of what Spider-Man games should be like. I mean, we see that also in the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man game. Similar gameplay and mechanics, however, what really revolutionized Spider-Man games and what in a sense cemented what we think of a game is Spider-Man 2. Web swinging freely in New York City, doing some side missions in there, and then finally be able to unlock the main mission. If you think about it, we see that throughout every Spider-Man game now that has free roam. Most importantly, with the Insomniac games. In a sense, basically giving us a direct formula of what Spider-Man games should be. Damn it, Norman, no, go away, shoot. Every time he hears formula, it triggers him. He's just crazy. Stop it. No, you're not getting any more goblin treats. Go away. But even us having the trilogy of Tobey's Spider-Man game, we still had, in a sense, Ultimate Spider-Man. While this game also played very similar to those games, the art style was just completely different. What was cool is that we had different people working on Spider-Man games, and all of them gave us a unique take on the character. Something that I actually missed, and it's missing from these Spider-Man games. We all know how Insomniac games are going to be like, and that's great. They're fantastically well-made games. But I miss when the games took a different turn in terms of art style and gameplay-wise too. And the coolest thing was that you actually can play Venom. And let me tell you, this Venom was way better than what we got in Spider-Man 2 and Insomniac. You actually had a full playable Venom character with his own story that you freaking even fought Wolverine. Like, come on, how can you top that? Now, I know the racing missions in that game were not the best though, I'll be fully honest in there. And then even take it a few years later, after the Raimi trilogy was almost basically at a close, we had Spider-Man Friend or Foe, which was in a sense was a Marvel Ultimate Alliance game, but with only Spider-Man characters. I mean, how cool is it that you can play a Spider-Man game multiplayer or co-op sitting down with people? And while Spider-Man has appeared in other Spider-Man games that's not Insomniac, I mean, he's in Marvel Token, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 on the Nintendo Switch, which is nice to see him in different things also. But man, does anybody remember Marvel Nemesis, Rise of the Imperfects? Not that Spider-Man was a main character in here, but the way how they use Spider-Man in this is very dark. I mean, this is a very dark game if nobody's ever played it, by the way. It was a Marvel 3D arena fighter, and you can play as other different Marvel characters. Spider-Man played a bigger role in that game, so that's why I'm mentioning it. But very underrated game, and something that I don't think we'll ever get again, especially in this generation. Although one game that I would say that I feel like if they actually had more time to develop it and polish it, would have been probably one of the greatest Spider-Man games ever made, and that's Spider-Man Web of Shadows. That game had one of the coolest combat mechanics ever. You can play as the normal Spider-Man, and then just with the click of the stick, you could transform into the symbiotic black suit Spider-Man, and you can chain combo moves together. How awesome was that? Now here's the thing why I break this game is one of the best games ever made. The concept of this game was basically used for Insomniac Spider-Man 2, the takeover of the symbiotes. But in a sense, I will say that Web of Shadows did it way better. And come on, can you really beat a symbiotic Wolverine? I don't think you can. And dude, he gets ripped in half in that game by Spider-Man if you pick the dark side route, which in a sense what made that game also very unique is that it was based off choices. You'd have the red suit choice, and then you had the black suit choice every time you had a boss fight, and it basically narrated the game in a path that will be accumulated by the choices that you made. There's a lot of comparison with that game and Spider-Man 2, and I just find it very interesting that they took that concept. But I don't know, it's a shame that it just didn't hit as well as Web of Shadows. And here's the thing, the web swing on the Web of Shadows was fantastic. While it's not as accurate and he didn't attach to buildings like Insomniac Spider-Man does, which Insomniac's web swing is chef's kiss. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. But there's one thing that this Spider-Man game did that none of the other ones have done, and it's combat while wall crawling. When you wall crawl in these other Spider-Man games, you really can't do anything. You're just kind of stationary. You can probably web some people up and like just run up the walls and stuff, but that's about it. In this game, no, you actually were fighting on the walls. That is pretty awesome. And the camera angles, just to make it very stylized, was really well done. And it's just that creative liberty that I miss from Spider-Man games. And listen, at the end of Web of Shadows, you fight a three-headed Venom. Try to beat that, I guess. I don't really think you can in terms of skill.
I want to talk to you, the real Venom!
One of the big rumors in the Insomniac universe of Spider-Man was that they were going to have a Spider-Verse multiplayer type game. I mean, an idea that would have been pretty awesome. I don't really think how that would have worked in the story department. And to be fully honest, I've always liked Spider-Man just being by himself. Miles is really cool. I do like him a lot, but I've always liked just Peter being solo. But aside from that multiplayer game never really happening, the Spider-Verse game in a sense technically happened years ago with one of my favorite Spider-Man games ever made, which is Shattered Dimensions, which at this moment it is quite a rare game. But this game was amazing. It had 4 different Spider-Man in 4 different universes. You had the Amazing Spider-Man, which his combat was very web-based and looked very close to its comic book counterpart. Then you had 2099, which the gameplay focused on speed combat, and again, you were in a futuristic city. Then you had Noir. The thing with Spider-Man Noir, he was being compared to this cheaper version of the Arkham Batman. I can kind of see why. I mean, at the time, this was when Batman Arkham City just has come out, so the hype was on that game, and to be honest, that game is a total masterpiece. But the gameplay and setting was really cool, nothing like we've ever seen in a Spider-Man game. And then lastly, you had Ultimate Spider-Man, which focused a lot on using the black suit and using symbiotic attacks. And the coolest thing is that you actually fought Deadpool in his universe. It was one of the few Spider-Man games that I played constantly, and I still go back to it. And here's the thing, for some reason, I tend to gravitate toward these linear Spider-Man games more than the actual free roaming. I love free roam Spider-Man, and he's perfect. I mean, fits Spider-Man the best. Now, there was a sequel to Shattered Dimensions, and unfortunately, it wasn't really received that well. It was called Edge of Time. And I think the problem with this game is just, instead of having you play as 4 Spider-Man, they actually just opted to 2 only. I feel like that was a step back, but you got to play as 2099 Spider-Man and Peter Parker. And it's basically, you know, taking place in the death of Peter Parker fighting Anti-Venom. Really cool stuff. I didn't really spend much time playing it, and I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be, but it definitely was a step down. But around that time, that's kind of when the Spider-Man games started to really just go downhill. I mean, it's always been a roller coaster effect. You get some really good ones and you get some really bad ones. And then unfortunately, the really bad ones were the Amazing Spider-Man games. Not both of them. The first one was pretty decent and they had awesome battle damage with Spider-Man, and you can pick a range of Spider-Man costumes. They used some unique web mechanics that you can swing around the city, which was pretty cool at the time. Unfortunately, the sequel to that game, just like the movie, just did not live to the hype. I mean, that game, I'm sorry, but that game is just not that good. Cool thing, you fight Carnage in the end, but I guess it just, Spider-Man games were really going downhill. And I mean, I'm very glad that we ended up getting the Insomniac Spider-Man games. I mean, they've become very polished. The stories for all 3 games that we've gotten have been amazing. And I mean, I'm not going to forget when they showcased that game for the first time in E3. One of the parts that really got me was when you're seeing Spider-Man run and you see him jumping around the Daily Bugle and escaping. The fluidity of that was awesome. You'd never seen that in a Spider-Man game. And at the same time, after the reveal, when they were showing some gameplay footage, this was a time that everybody, for some reason, had a massive fascination with puddles. I mean, wow, the gaming community really focused on that. It was pretty ridiculous, I would say. And I would say that this Spider-Man version is actually one of my favorites in any iteration. Also, side note, how is it that we've gotten 3 Spider-Man games and we've never gotten a Spider-Man Unlimited suit? You know what I'm talking about? The show that came after the 90s Spider-Man? That suit is amazing. If I will be honest, it is my favorite suit in any Spider-Man. But I feel like once that formula was perfected, uniqueness and experimentation of these games just started going downhill. I mean, it's not that bad thing. We're getting quality games, but I miss when they took bigger risks. And I think that's why the older Spider-Man games resonate with me way more than the new ones. I love the new ones and they're pure masterpieces, but that uniqueness, I wish we saw that more. Each game had an identity in terms of combat and design wise, but I am very excited when Insomniac Spider-Man 3 comes out. I just hope they really take their time and they don't cut things out like how they unfortunately did with Spider-Man 2, because that was such a bummer, seeing all the stuff that was potentially going to be in that game. I mean, you clearly see it even in the promotional trailers when you're actually fighting Venom in daytime with Miles Morales. It never happens in the game. So hopefully they actually take their time and Sony doesn't rush them, because I don't really think it's Insomniac's fault at this point. And if you guys like these type of videos that we look back at certain eras, games, movies, and just pop culture in general, go ahead and check out the rest of the channel. And like Spider-Man says, it's pizza time.